Hey everyone, it's Kenlin, and welcome to the Energy and Astrology update for the week of July 14th. And I don't need to tell you that it's explosive. It's off the chart, it's over the top, it's polarizing, dark, warlike, angry energy that we're going through right now. And that's for a few things. I'm glad I'm doing this on the 14th of July because I get to pick up what happened over the weekend with the assassination attempt of Donald Trump and speak into some of the energies, but also what we can do about it in ourselves. This is not a time to indulge our minds in looking outward. It's not a time for blaming, shaming, finger pointing, and platitudes, even though those may be the things we actually want to do. But it's really a time to make some powerful choices. And I'm going to highlight that and give you two references or tools to work with. So over the weekend, we had, I'm looking at my notes here, Venus opposing Pluto retrograde in Aquarius at 1 degrees. That was actually happening through Saturday. I'm recording this on Sunday. And it has personal effects as well as bigger effects. Pluto, outer planet, Venus, a personal planet. So we're all going to feel this some way on some level for us personally. It harkens back to when Pluto and Venus were conjunct in Pluto, at 0 degrees. So there's this time that we've been in, and we've been in many cycles like this since 2020 of dismantling, destruction, demolition. Like I call Pluto the wrecking ball. And that's an appropriate term because it's there to destroy. Rebirth comes out of it. The phoenix rising comes out of it, but not until there is rubble. There's nothing left. And so Pluto's killing off many things in our lives, our careers, our finances, our relationships, our friendships. And now we can see this in the body politic, meaning in the collective. We've been seeing it, and we have another version of that. I've said that we can look at the epicenters of breakdown in our world, the United States being one of them. We are probably more divisive than we've ever been since the Civil War. We seriously do not agree, and neighbors don't agree, friends don't agree, family members don't agree. It's not just North and South. It's woven into the fabric of our world, this level of polarization and disagreement. So we have that, and we're in the United States is in its Pluto return. We still haven't, we're not going to get out of that until Pluto moves into Aquarius in 2025 and is on its way, because we are still in a reckoning period, and that Pluto is going to retrograde September, October, November back into Capricorn. So we're in wrecking ball moments, and we're in that for ourselves personally. And it's hard to build a business. It's hard to have a relationship. Honestly, so much is really difficult. It's probably hard to raise your kids. It's hard to do anything right now, especially with that Venus. When Venus is in that opposition energy, it just feels like we're stuck and we don't know how to get out. So if that's you, hold on. We've got to ride these waves and indeed ride them, because there's no way out of them. This is what we signed up for. This is in the collective, and therefore it's in us. And the only way out is to go in. And I'm going to talk about that as we transit through this conversation. So we have the Venus, and then we have the Mars conjunct Uranus in Taurus. It's like right on Donald Trump's midheaven with a fixed star called Algol. And honestly, I don't follow fixed stars very much, but boy, did it catch my attention. When we're talking about this kind of dark, like putrefaction that's happening. So imagine something stagnating, some wound, open wound, festering and stagnating and smelling and becoming rancid. Like that's that energy. in the map of consciousness from Gurdjieff, and he talks about where we are, world 48, and this level, this biosphere, and then the higher realms, and then the lower realms. And when he unpacks the lower realms, that's where this energy agol is. It's the lower level of consciousness that is what we call evil. So we're dealing with that. I mean, that's intense. So that's, and then we're going to go into a square. Next week, we've got Leo squaring Pluto. We've got a Capricorn full moon. Oh, and then before that, we also have a Chiron. Let me see where that entered. Yeah, oh my gosh, we have Chiron squaring, Sun squaring Chiron at 23 degrees Aries, also implicating what was happening at the solar eclipse. So whatever opened up. So these are super, super big energies. They're jarring and shocking. And I think we saw yesterday what that means. You know, one of the astrologers said, listen, you know, the United States is tumbling toward an abyss. And how far are we going to sink? And so I really want to pose that question. How far are you willing to sink? And then I want to get back to the epicenter idea. So we've got the United States going through this, like, what is that? This deep contraction around democracy. And because really the United States has this trine that has put democracy on the world map. We've been a beacon on a hill. And here we are going through, and it just gives me chills because we're just going through the darkest night of the soul. And if you think about that, like say it's a beautiful relationship that between two people, and then something happens that brings them to their darkest night, and you don't know, are they going to make it through? You do not know. It looks like one way. And we hold our intention that we will make it through, and we will make it through stronger as a democratic nation. Then we have the other epicenter is Israel and Palestine, Israel and Hamas, and the fight of Palestine. And then we have Russia, Ukraine, and we have Sudan. And there are probably others that I'm not aware of, but those are the ones I'm aware of these epicenters of our wound, of the boil that's been festering underneath the surface, coming to the surface. And it's not pretty, it's ugly. So yeah, where do we go from here? Well, here's where we go from here. You know, what we get to know, and this is those of us who have prepared for this moment, we want to be mindful of where our thoughts go. So let's open up a few things in this conversation. And one is thinking. I've been really playing with this idea since I left the Goddess Convergence portal, you know, or a, you know, container over those 5 days. And then we did an integration session. And what I said is when we shine the light, we're actually seeing more of our darkness. And if you're not seeing your darkness, you might just be not wanting to look, because everything that we think is typically from our ego. When we blame someone, when we think we know about someone's life, it's particularly public figures. We have so many opinions about public figures. And, you know, there are influencers right now who are taking up the mantle, getting into the political fray. And I feel like they're just as divisive. Like, what are you doing? What is your intention? That's a very good question to ask yourself right now. What is my intention? And so when this dark energy comes up in you, either in the form of blaming someone else or turning it in on yourself, it's the same exact energy. It's just which direction is it going toward? Then you have tools for that. You know how to work with that. You don't take it as real. You don't take the thought form or the belief as real. Whatever is real is what we give power to. That's the truth of it. We are co-creators. We're here to give power to something, our thoughts, our beliefs. So be careful what you give power to. It's not separately real. So a couple of things that might support in that, and one of them is this book called Dispelling Watiko. Has anybody heard of this? It's really quite an interesting tome. It's called Breaking the Curse of Evil by Paul Levy. And on it, Sting says, the world would be a better place if everyone read this book. It's really this idea, this Cree word, Watiko. And that word is kind of what these indigenous cultures use to describe evil. I'm gonna find that passage in here and see if there's anything else I want to say about it. But it also is like this, he calls it this malignant egophrenia. And it's this part of us that is anti-wholesome, anti-wholesome. Jung called it a germ of psychological evil. And so Jung said, the way out is to create a container and put that energy inside the container, not act it out as you. Now, that's an interesting idea. We talk a lot about containers in our work, creating a field. And so imagine that negative energy goes inside of this field. It's almost like nuclear energy or nuclear waste. We have that down at the beach area in Orange County, where the nuclear waste is contained in these silos, and they just put them inside of the sand and dug them and buried them. And so what I think is possible is containing it. And part of containment is seeing it, so witnessing it, because we know that we're not going to get rid of energy. We're going to transmute energy through what? Acknowledge, accept, embrace. That's what the gene keys teaches us. So we know that we have shadow frequency, gift frequency, city frequency, the highest divine expression. So it's like inside of the highest, like, let's say democracy is a high expression that we have enjoyed in the United States for almost 200 years. And then let's say that this shadow that's emerging is inside of this shadow is democracy. Like, and part of it is the ability to speak your vomit if you want to, project onto other people, say what you want on social media. No one, it's not China. So that's part of it, but that's the low expression of it. And that's what's getting unearthed and seen right now. So we have this container for it, as Watiko says, of dispelling Watiko. We create this container for it, meaning we are able to witness it. But we don't witness it as in you, we witness it as in ourselves. And we feel that. So since Goddess Convergence, I've been really witnessing in myself this equal and opposite reaction from what got created. And I'm just in the collective like everyone else. And so we get to find our own way through this. And here's where the spiritual ninja stuff comes in. So I had a dream, and the dream was that I alchemized these. So there's one character was the evil character in my dream. And there was me and this other person, and we were the good guys. And this other person was the bad guy, the criminal, right? And I'm in a situation where we're being stolen or robbed or something like that. I can't quite remember all of it. But what happens in the dream is alchemy. And in the dream, the alchemy is sexual. And that is a way to alchemize, but we can't always have sex with everything and alchemize it. But we can. That's a metaphor for the Eros energy, the power of Eros to alchemize. So here's something that is a lot more accessible than having sex with it, is this book, Existential Kink. Have you ever read this book by Carolyn Elliott? Carolyn is a great writer. She's pretty damn genius. Her book says, unmask your shadow and embrace your power. And then over here, it says, a method for getting what you want by getting off on what you don't. And so it's really taking that Eros sexual energy and playing with it, existential kink, it's a great practice. Try it on. I listened to the audio a few summers ago, and it was really instrumental in getting me out of a dark phase where I really wanted to blame someone for hurting me. I was able to really own my part in creating that in my life. So it's not a blame, it's not a shame, it's not guilt, it's none of that. It's freedom. It's a way out. So let's play with our shadow instead of lighting the fire and use our influence. We each have zones of influence, and let's use our zone of influence not by being patronizing or moralizing or superior, which is going on, or blaming, which is going on. Let's use our zone of influence to call each other home, back to ourselves. One of the things of Pluto retrograde is to go internal. And while we have this drama on the external, it's going to take a lot of discipline to go internal. And that's where the metaphor that I believe is from the Gospel of Thomas and in the Gnostic Gospels. And there's this analogy of, I think it's the lion and the man, but I like to call it more like the ego and our divine self. And the ego self wants to have this ultimate power, this ultimate control. It wants to protect itself. And by protecting itself, it defends itself. It blames others. It's like a shield, and it fires arrows at other people or bombs at other people. That part of itself is the lower realms in the Gurdjieffian map of consciousness, of where consciousness fully goes unconscious and devolves and separates itself with just the way that it speaks to other people and the way it speaks to itself and the way that it holds the world. And then there's the other part of our energy as being human. The other part of our energy is this divine self, this higher self, this spiritual self. And we have access to unconditional love, pure joy, magic, miracles, serendipity. And so these two exist. But the question is, who is the master? Now, if the animal instinctual egoic drive is the master, then you will be a person who causes toxicity, who is toxic, who causes toxicity. And if you learn to discipline this egoic drive and it serves the master, and the master is your higher self, that's when you practice restraint, discipline, because it does take something. Those urges are in the collective, they're fueled in the collective. So unless you live in a cave, and you're like blissed out meditating, you're gonna feel that. And you're gonna wanna rip some heads off or get into the debate or call people names or ignore. I mean, that's part of Watiko in this book is like, I don't know anything. I don't do politics. I don't take sides, whatever. That's part of Watiko. Martin Luther King talked about that, like the unwillingness to deal with what is here. So we have these energies, but as the person on a spiritual path, as you're ascending in worldviews, that means not just states, not having like blissed out states of consciousness, but actually growing yourself up. You learn like, oh, that shit's toxic. I can't do that. I want to unload on this person. And I told you I had that experience a week ago or 2 weeks ago where I was really triggered by someone's anger. And I went on top of the mountain and I danced it out with the dark mother. Like that's having discipline over the energy, because there's options. I have choices. I don't have to unload. I can also dance it out. I can work it out. The trick here is move it out, move it out, move it out. That's why I love shadow dancing. And I do have a shadow dance inside of our portal. I think it's inside the member portal. I love shadow dancing for that reason. It's movement. So I would combine, existential kink with shadow dancing and move it out of your body. Or you can do, if you know some kind of a martial art, anything that's embodied that allows you to get the energy out. Okay, so use your influence and your sphere of influence in that disciplined way so that you personally, I'm going to speak very Venusian here, you personally are growing yourself up. Because as you do that, then the collective has to grow itself up. We're under a Pluto transit right now. And what's coming down the pipe from, like, there's also this square that's happening to the collective moon. Jessica Murray talks about August and September. This same energy is squaring the country, the US country's moon, the people. We're in it. We are in it, y'all. And I mean, if you're in Europe, you're probably in it in your own way. If you're in Africa, India, you're probably in it in your own way, because we are one and this is all rippling out. And if you're not, then bear witness, hold space. You know, Chiron, the wounded healer, the thing is that Chiron could not heal himself. He was the one who healed others. He was the wounded healer. He gave his medicine to others, but he could not heal himself. And they say in the legend that, not all of the renditions of the legend, but one rendition of the legend says that Chariklo, who is his partner, representative of the divine feminine, was the one who healed him. So that brings us back to our power. We have so much power that if we get sucked, and influencers are getting sucked right now, and the people are not having it. They're calling people out on their ridicule, their mocking, their hypocrisy, their gaslighting. Like, the populace has grown up. You know, in a way, we're way more savvy than we were, 50, 60, 70, 80 years ago, where our innocence is gone. Some say in the United States that it was the assassination of JFK that really destroyed the innocence of America. And prior to that, people didn't think that the government was out to get them. And maybe a large part of it wasn't. There was certainly probably nefarious things going on. But now we have lost that. We're in a postmodern era where there is no truth. We don't even believe in truth. We only believe in our truth. And our truth has like a shit ton of confirmation bias. It has our own comfort. We haven't even began to sort through that yet. There's a lot to sort through as we evolve and grow ourselves up. But part of it is being able to make contact with what's so in a factual way, not adding to it and not taking it away, not excusing it, but definitely not adding to it. Just what is factual? What can you say that's actually true? What can you say that is neutral? And hold that I don't know. And for those of you who are not in these war zones, witness. Hold the space. We're losing our shit over here. So hold the space while we unravel, dismantle, go to the depths, get burned in charnel ground, like that Tibetan charnel ground where the dead bodies and the vultures pick at the bodies. It's like that's where we are. And we're going into more of that in August, more of that in September, October, November. And then we have a Mars retrograde in December. And like all the planets are retrograde, giving us a chance to be like, what just happened? We're going to do all of that. So hold the faith, Keep your drishti, your third eye gaze on what is possible, on where you're going. Manage your thoughts, manage your mind. As seductive as it is to add fire to fuel to the fire, gasoline to the fire, don't do it. Like, if you have to like literally put your hands over your mouth and walk away and then do the shaking, do it. You've got the tools. This is what we're here for. It's not easy. No true Pluto transit is easy. So holy shit, big life changes, permanent changes. The thing is, we don't know the next step. That's the thing. If we kind of knew for sure, we would just be like, you know, it's all good. We're going there. We don't know for sure. We don't know for sure if we'll make it. We don't know for sure what it looks like. We've never been where it's going. Let's just say that. And so there's a lot of instability. The fixed signs are not happy. That's Leo, Scorpio, Aquarius, and Taurus, not happy. And they're getting rocked. Our primal fears are coming forward. So do all your work. Know that you can trust your soul's wisdom and your soul's guidance. I'm going to say something personally, that you may be in a personal pivot because of this energy, because again, Mars is a personal planet, as well as Venus, Chiron, you may have in your chart. So there's personal aspects hitting here. And just know that this is your time to evolve. This is when we evolve the most. Are you committed to evolve? Are you devoted to your soul's path? Those are the questions that I leave you with. You are made to evolve. You are truly made to evolve. I am made to evolve. We collectively are made to evolve. Do not forget that. Don't get lost in the drama. So recreate your life as is showing you. This is the part where we may not have so much control. So recreate your life where life is showing you to recreate. Don't hold on. I mean, you know, notice if you are holding on, gosh, I'm holding on. Yeah, that's so painful. I wonder what it would look like if I let go. I don't know. I'm not. Okay, I'll take a breath. Do you want to let go now? Well, a little bit. You know, that may be the process. So recreate your life, stay open, keep listening for the messages, train the inner beast. And yeah, let's do this. Let's do this. All right, let's take all this energy that we've generated. We've got lots and lots of energy, and energy at the end of the day is energy. It's hot. It's alive. It's active. It's like nuclear. And let's just put it in our hands and imagine what color it looks like. What's the texture of it? How big is it? It's like, can you play with this energy? And then let's take it all and dedicate it out as we transmute it through our love, through our Eros, that creative, sexual, intimate fire inside of us that created the world. We call upon that Eros to alchemize all things for the benefit of all beings. And so it is. Thank you for joining. Be well, and I'll see you next week.